Now we're starting.
Hey, totally off the subject.
Yeah.
Pat just sent me a message about happy birthday and Dad would be so proud of you, blah, 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 blah. And in the end, I don't think she meant to say this, but it says, I love you, ho.
Maybe she did.
Maybe she did.
Maybe the true feelings are really starting to come out.
Praise you, I love you, ho.
I love you, ho. I love you even though.
Yo, ho.
So,
what were we talking about?
We'll start over. This is what's in the box.
What's in the box? Do I have to say the same thing?
Yeah, why not?
So this is for Cheryl. What's in the box, motherfucker?
So this is what's in the box normally with Zach and Cheryl, but now we're doing one with my dad.
The dad's
being supportive.
I am.
Even though it's cold.
It is.
Because I didn't start the heater early enough.
I don't think my ice will melt.
It'll last the whole podcast.
Now, in your hut here, do you have a hole cut in the ice where you can do ice fishing?
I think we should. I think it'd work. So a couple things. Well, I have a couple things I want to talk about. However, what's today?
Today is my birthday.
Yeah, today's your birthday. And how old are you?
So for my birthday, I drove all the way down here just to be on your podcast.
I know, because you're super supportive.
Just like the Playtex Ultra Supportive Bra from back in the 60s.
No, just kidding.
From back in the 60s. That was a plug so we could get free bras. How old am I? I am 60 today.
So I know
How's that make you feel?
I know. Well, it's kind of what I was going to ask. And I know the answer because I ask you this every year, but I know that your consistent answer is you don't feel old.
I don't. Your mom kept ribbing me. I know you feel old. I know you feel old. And Peanut and Jameer were sitting there. And finally, I paused the TV or I silenced the TV and I turned and I looked and I went, just for the record, I don't feel old, okay?
Are you trying to make me feel
I know. I feel fine. I don't feel old. Maybe a little fat. But not old. Which is good, I guess.
So are you more retrospective at 60?
I was wanting... This is the one thing about having the kids with me for a little while is I don't have the time to talk to your mom about things that I want to talk to her about. And this was one of them, this morning I was a little teary this morning.
Oh, yeah? Your kids actually showed up?
I'll probably start weepy a little bit now, but no, because, I look every day, as most people do, or some people do, on their timeline of Facebook, hey, what happened 10 years ago, whatever. And to scroll back and see, and my kids were there yesterday for my birthday and Thanksgiving, but to look back and feel how truly blessed I am to have the family I do. And I, for lack of a better thing to say, comparatively speaking, I know people that are alone right now. I know people that had shitty marriages and their kids hate them. And
luckily you don't have that.
I know that's kind of what I'm saying is you kind of, comparatively speaking, you go, I'm pretty damn good right now. So, and jokingly, your mom yells at me for this too. So, well, nobody's in jail, so that's a good thing, I guess.
Long-term in jail.
Yeah. For right now, they're not.
So is there anything hitting 60? Is there anything that you kind of the Will Smith-ish thing of that you want to do that you haven't done, that you want to get done?
No, I've done. There are little things that come up that I couldn't tell you right now, but
like try squid.
No. You're driving down the road and you kind of go, oh, I'd like to do that, and it's not anything that cost a lot of money or anything like that, but it's like, oh, I'd like to do that, and then I do it. The only thing, and I have hope right now, the only thing that I've wanted to do for the past 10 years and haven't been able to is skydive. And, it's because I'm kind of big boned.
Because they don't allow big people
to skydive. However, Again, I haven't told your mom this. So in the morning, every morning when I go to work, I listen to Bob and Tom.
Mm-hmm.
On some occasions, I'll be sitting at work and I'll turn the video on because they have live video on YouTube. And so I'm watching this, and there's a guy that looks my size, and he's, a comedian, and he's blah, 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 right? And it's kind of funny. And they said the same thing. They were like, so is there anything you want to do? And he said, no, I think I just did what I wanted to do. And what was that? And he goes, I just went skydiving. He was 6'3", 280 or 290 pounds. And he went skydiving, and I was like, okay, well, that weight is pretty close to me.
Mm-hmm.
And
also, where?
You must have, well, I didn't catch that part, and I didn't catch the comedian's name either. Otherwise, I would have contacted him. So, where'd you go, But he did even have a guy on his back, the tandem thing. And I don't really care. I don't want to do that, but and I'd even go through lessons to not do that. But the fact that he did it gives me hope.
Gives you hope that
somewhere somebody's going to allow this.
I don't have to lose a shit ton of weight.
It comes back to, I've checked a couple places and they go, no. Look, if it's an insurance thing and you need extra money for insurance, how much do you want? No, that's not it. That's the only thing I really want to do. As we've talked before, I've lived an incredible, incredible life, and there have been tremendous lows, but there have been tremendous highs too. And my buddy Ra taught me that big word called choice, and it's a choice of how you look at things. You can always go, poor me, I got a shitty life. Well, there's a lot of other people that got shittier lives than you.
Or you can be like your dad, and you wake up, and that's good enough.
It is. I used to say, I haven't had a problem lately, but there used to be a problem of somebody say, hey, and I go, the problem is getting out of bed.
Once you're out.
Once I'm out and walking around, I'm good. But just trying to get my feet off the bed. But I haven't had that problem lately, so that's good. So, yeah, good times.
So,
as they say, living the dream.
I thought about this the other day, and I thought we've kind of talked about this on and off on both yours and mine. But it's just it's a thing that keeps coming back to me that it really bothers me. So Elon grinds my gears, if you will.
There you go.
So Elon Musk bought Twitter, right? And his whole point of buying Twitter was that he thought that Twitter was becoming more of a not cult, tribal thing, where it was just a bunch of people getting on board with an opinion and attacking each other because of the censors and because of Twitter censoring certain things. And you would say, for instance, you would say, I think Trump is a racist, and they would cut it out, make you do all, and then
free speech was not necessarily free,
and then cancel culture kind of piggybacked onto that. And that's why
we could talk all day on that.
And that's what, that's a little bit of what I'm bringing up. And that's why Elon Musk bought Twitter or X or whatever, because he took all the bans out. He's even said in interviews, he's like, we still have things that,
free speech,
that will tell you, will take posts down, or will kind of send you a message of, hey, this isn't allowed or whatever.
Yeah,
he's like, we still have those things. He's like, but it's not anywhere close to the way that it was. Mob mentality is what I was thinking.
Yeah.
So, but I saw a thing the other day that kind of going along with that kind of bothered me, and I went, why? Why are we not able to let people have an opinion? There was somebody, I can't remember what her name is. Somebody posted about the war in Israel or whatever. And point of view, I think that this side, the way that they think, I think that they have a point in this or whatever. And because of that one post, she got taken off of, she can't do movies anymore. She's an actress. 3 movies that she was supposed to be in this year, she got taken out of for that one post. Now, I understand to a point.
I guess free speech isn't free anymore.
It's not. And I
just lost a paycheck.
And that bothers me, because it's like, I feel like our lines for what not ours, but as a society, I feel
Mhm.
like our lines for what is acceptable or whatever are way different than they should be. I think giving an opinion is one thing. Now, if that person, for example, if that person were like, we need to kill all the Jews, then okay, I get that. But giving an opinion on, well, I think that they have points here, or I think that this group is being overlooked, or whatever, I don't think that that should be reason to be out of a job or to even be in trouble. Really, I think like this. I think everybody should have the ability to do this. I think everybody should be able to say or have an opinion and talk about it.
I have a big issue. I don't know the terms, and I'm sure you do, but the cancel culture thing. And so I know we've talked about the whole transgender Bud Light guy, whatever. And I just shake my head and go, why do you care?
Mm-hmm.
And why? I got a funny side story. I may have told you this story before too. I just don't understand why you care.
Mm-hmm.
And if you care and you say, no, that's not who I am, okay, again, you're allowed your opinion. But let's say 80% of the public says, she is who she is, or you are who you are, or whatever. But 20% says, no, I don't like that. Why are we focused on the 20%, with the exception of, hey, this is going to get us media coverage? Yep. And that's irritating to me.
Obviously, and this is kind of the thing that I wish, not saying it hasn't worked, but I wish more people in society would really understand, is that it's funny coming from me doing this. Your voice does not matter. The whole Bud Light thing specifically. Still making it. Didn't go out of business. Still drinking it.
Kid Rock, did you see that, by the way?
Yeah, I did.
Hey, I didn't want anybody to lose your job.
Yeah.
And your mom was cussing up a stairs. That was funny. Well, then you shouldn't have said all that and done all that, should you? Why don't we think before we do things like that? That was funny.
But I think and to me, I don't know, because I don't feel that way. So I don't know where the mindset is for people that want to do that, or want to cancel people, or want to do that. I don't get that, because I don't feel it. But to me, it feels like we're giving, I don't know how to word this. We're giving credit to one person rather than
the 99
society.
other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of like it's the whole, and I've said this before. We had this whole thing with Emma, and this is kind of how I feel that society wants it to be, and I'm going to explain why this is dumb. So Emma has ADHD, right?
Mm-hmm.
So for
she
years,
knows how to add and hide that.
So for years, we've told, at least as long as I've been with her, we've been telling her teachers, just give her something. Give her like a crayon, let her draw on a piece of paper, whatever. She'll listen. She'll hear what you're saying. She just needs to do
multitask
something
to get it.
Yeah. Every teacher since I've been with Cheryl has said, we can't do that. Why? Because that's favoring one kid over everybody else, because the other kids are going to complain. Okay.
Here, you want a fidget spinner? You get one too, and you get one too. Now shut up.
But also, this prevents you personally from having a child that's going to interrupt you, that's going to make your day shitty, that's going to make you frustrated, and it cuts out the phone calls every day I get of you saying, Emma wasn't paying attention. Emma was being a disturbance.
Such a trickle-down effect to it.
But everyone has been like, well, I can't favor that child. Well, I can't do that. Okay, but it's not in that regard. But I feel like that mentality is where society is the opposite. Is we're going to favor this one group or one person to shut them up, to make them feel special, to whatever, instead of the rest of society that doesn't care. And I brought this up before, the Kevin Hart thing, that he wasn't allowed to host the Oscars.
Yeah.
That whole thing. we catered in that regard. We catered to an entire just a small group.
Yep.
That was like, well, no, I need something more. His
Yep.
apology doesn't mean anything. I need something more. I need another one. I need a third, fourth, fifth apology. And we catered to that instead of he admitted that it was a different time. He apologized for it. And he said he wasn't going to apologize again because he already did it. And we stripped that we stripped that ability to do the Oscars from him because we were so focused on this little group than the actual
Yep.
like issue, what happened.
What I'd really like to happen, what you just said, you come forward and say you got a problem. Okay. You have an opinion, but and everybody has their opinion, but let me take my spotlight and we're going to shine it on you now. And back in 1964, you were married and you had an affair. What about that? Well, that's not me. But you're being a fucking hypocrite now, and people want to get on their soapbox and don't want anybody to look at them though. That's what pisses me off. Everybody has skeletons in their closet.
Well, that's what I've said for years.
Nobody's perfect.
That's what I've said for years. I was like, I've said that. I was like, times have changed. I was like, and it's not necessarily people's fault. I've said this in I'm pretty sure I said this in a podcast with you and Cheryl. It's nobody's fault, really. Our society has changed. We've gotten smarter, better, whatever you want to call it. We've evolved.
Yep.
Whereas it used to be acceptable all the way around in every state in the country to be like, oh, don't go over there. There's a black man over there. You have to stay over here with us. That was acceptable. Nobody thought anything was wrong with that. Whereas now, if you look back on that, people go, I don't know. But that doesn't mean that the writers, directors, actors, even society at that point should be held accountable for that.
Right.
That was where it was. If you're like
back then.
If you're now looking back on it, like I'm sure you have a few times looking back on it and been like, oh, shouldn't have done that. Or I can't believe I thought that or whatever. And you can admit that. I feel like that should be okay. But to hold somebody accountable for a different
years ago.
Yeah, a different place and time or a different society construct, I feel like is just nitpicking.
When you were talking before, I was kind of going down the same road that you just did. And the really disappointing thing to me about this whole thing is, okay, you just described society 50, 80 years ago, okay? Where that was it. Racism was acceptable. Well, now we've moved forward as a society to say, no, idiots, racism is not acceptable anymore. And we're moving forward as a society. And now when the cancel culture comes in,
now we're going back.
You're kind of going,
yep.
Oh, no, wait. It's okay to be racist again. No, it's not, idiot.
It's okay to be racist as long as you're honest about it. No. That's not what it is. That's not what I'm saying. I think that I've listened to interviews. You should, if you have a chance, you should try to find the interview with Elon Musk. I think he did it with Joe Rogan. I'm pretty sure.
Were you smoking weed?
No.
Oh, not that one.
No, not that one. Although that one's funny too. No, but in there he was talking about that, about the toxicity of cancel culture and how it's kind of gotten to a point where we're no longer focused on being in harmony and kind of being a better society. We're more focused in groups. We're more focused in, well, my group of people, whether that's a Facebook group or your community or whatever, my group of people feel this way. So
my tribe.
So your people should feel this way.
Yeah.
And everybody wants validation
No, don't force your opinion on me. I'm okay with you having your opinion. Don't force it on me.
But we're more focused on getting validation that our way is the right way rather than trying to see other people's point of views. He's like that. He's like that. That's the biggest thing with science, is that most scientists don't look at other scientists' work and be like, they don't know what they're talking about. There's always something in there, whether it's wrong or not. There's always something in there where you can go, oh, okay, I can use
There's
this.
a piece. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he's like, and that's the one thing that I like about that is that all scientists have agreed on that whether we disagree with what you feel or your hypothesis or whatever, we all agree that we know how to do science. And he's like, whereas society is moving more towards we're not even seeing other people's point of views or seeing why they potentially feel that way or what happened or anything like that. We go, we grew up this way, we feel this way, everybody should be like this.
Yep.
Instead of, okay, I've said this with people. I made this example when we moved up here. I have a lot of different cultures in my background. I have been around a lot of different cultures. I'm able to float in and out of different ethnicities very easily for me. And people are unable to think of the other side. They go, I've lived in a small town my whole life. This is how my grandfather felt. This is how my dad always taught me how to feel. This is how I feel. This is how everybody in America should feel. Instead of, okay, this is what I was raised.
There's a big new world out there that you need to see.
But it doesn't. That's a bad example because I'm saying it's just like small town. It's not. But we're more focused on that than seeing the world around us of being like, okay, I may feel this way and you may feel this way, but we can still sit on a bench at our kids' baseball games and get along.
Say the umpire sucks.
Yeah. And it's not hard.
Nothing against umpires.
And it's not hard. I feel like with cancel culture, we're pushing more away from trying to find that common ground and more of I want validation that I'm just right.
Yeah. I have to tell you a story, Zach, and I get pretty emotional. A couple weeks ago, your sister called me and said, can you be on a Zoom call with me for, you know this? And I said, for, they want Jordan to physically come back to school. And I stopped myself from bringing Peanut and Jameer into this because Peanut and Jameer are striving right now. They're catching up. They were way behind. Okay. So knowing that my grandson has some anger issues for whatever reason, I'm not going to go into that, but he does. And you can piss him off real easy. I don't think he's like that anymore. I talk to him on video chat every other day almost. He's a totally different kid than what he was 3 years ago.
I agree.
Okay. You agree. Okay. So this is what happened. So the intermediate school by us. So when Tiffany came back, she enrolled all of them. And him being in intermediate school and knowing and told them that he would be remote in Barbados with her. And he should be in 6th grade right now. But when he started in early September, he had a 1st grade reading level and a 1st grade math level. In, 3 months, 4 months, he is now, as best as they can evaluate, at a 3rd grade reading level and math level. Now, you and I would think showing huge progress in a matter of 3 or 4 months, right? So they contacted Tiffany and said, we need him physically back. Why? Because, and I don't know that, I'd have to look it up. He has an IEP on him, which is a tag that says he has issues and he should, in so many words, be in special ed right now.
Okay.
A little frustrated yet? So far? But knowing what you know, okay.
Yeah.
So I said, yes, I would go on this call. Now, in the room, I don't know who all the players were, but the principal of the middle school was there, and there were 3 women there. And I don't know what their qualifications were for being there. But Tiffany, and it was a very civil conversation. It was about half hour, 45 minutes, very civil. So that was positive. Why does he need to be back physically? Well, we feel we can help him more by him being here. And all of a sudden, this IEP thing was brought up. And Tiffany thankfully led me down a road to be even very irritated. Because she said, where are you seeing an IEP at?
Mm-hmm.
Well, from Beloit. He was never physically ever at Beloit. Mm-hmm. When we were in Beloit, she went in and got them laptops and then went to Barbados. He was never in Beloit. And I said, how is, he's never been evaluated in Beloit, and yet you're looking at an IEP from Beloit, and you're making a judgment by them saying that. And they're like, he's never been in Beloit? Did we just not tell you that? You know? Well, and you hear this, and Tiffany's on a Zoom call or in a video, and I'm not, I'm just on the phone. And you hear this paper rustling. It says, well, it looks like this IEP originated in Freeport, Illinois. And I said, okay, that might be. Actually, I think they actually brought it all the way back to Milan, but whatever. I said, so let me ask you a question. You have an IEP in front of you that was rubber stamped in Beloit, that was brought up in Freeport 3, maybe 4 years ago. And you're going to go by that 4 years ago to go, no, this is where he needs to go, and he needs to be in that special ed closet.
Yep.
And I'm getting irritated, but calm. And I said, so let me ask you, if I told you my daughter was like that at his age, and now I'm telling you, as you all know, that she's in med school right now, would you stick her in a special ed? That's a different story. I go, no, it's not. It's exactly the same thing. Yep. And I said, he had issues. I know he had issues 4 years ago. But today, he's a different kid. He's a totally different kid. I guarantee you he's a different kid. And again, not anger. It was all good discussion back and forth. And I guess Tiffany said one of the ladies looked like she got really irritated and shut off her camera. And we went on to say that maybe he should be evaluated again now. And Tiffany said, okay, well, I'm coming back. When she thought she was coming back a couple days ago, she said, I'm coming back. Excuse me. What's that? November 21st. If I bring him back, can you evaluate him and see where he's at? No. And now it got irritating because the lady I don't know who she was. No, we cannot do any evaluations 2 weeks ahead of break time and 2 weeks after break time. And I'm thinking, okay, you want to stick this kid in a box and you're not willing to evaluate him. And, you know, you got, and now you're saying 2 weeks plus and so now it's starting to get a little heated. So you're going to stick him in an IEP box without any evaluation just because somebody 4 years ago did, and Beloit rubber stamped him to you. And now this is where I go, and you're just going to rubber stamp him too. And the principal spoke up and he goes, if we may, I think we have all the information we need. And we would like to talk amongst ourselves. And Tiffany, are you available for a call tomorrow? And Tiffany says, yeah. The call was just between the principal and him, wasn't any of us. The principal called her and said, by everything that was said, we're going to give him till spring to see how far he can catch up. And if he can catch up far enough, or we'll evaluate him at that time. And Zach, I can't tell you how pissed off I was. Oh, mostly pissed off. Well, with his disability. And I said, would you quit using the word disability? He's not disabled. He had anger issues. He's not disabled. So they're going to reevaluate him in the spring and see where he's at now. And I can't tell you how, and I know I'm prejudiced because it's my grandson, but I can't tell you how many people they probably do this to. And your mom said it's because they can get extra money if they put him in special ed. Yep. I just, Can't tell you how much that irritates me.
I feel like, especially with that, first off, I think an evaluation every year should be mandatory. I think what you just said, the passing the buck of, well, he was whatever you want to call it, disabled, had anger management issues, whatever you want to call it, 6 years ago, and then he's coming to us, so still the same, still the same, still the same.
Have you evaluated? No, but
I think it should be every year, because one, you're getting, if you're truly, and this is positively, I would like to think that most people in the school system are there for a good reason. However, I know
I interrupt you for a minute, and I said, are we not looking after the best interest of the child?
And that's what I was saying. You would have better data on the growth if you did it every year. If you said, even like you said for Jordan, 3-4 years ago, he couldn't be around certain people, he couldn't be around certain sounds, he would get very overwhelmed very quickly. He wasn't able to handle things. Whereas now, pretty good at it.
Yeah.
Pretty good at it. If you would have done the year of evaluation each year, you would have been able to chart that growth. Whereas now, a new school saying, oh, well, back here, you would have been able to be like, okay, but look at his evaluations throughout these last couple of years.
Look at his progression.
And they would have been able to look at that and be like, oh, you're right. End of conversation. Wouldn't even been one.
Yep.
But passing people through, and not just with that situation either, but like neurodivergencies like ADHD or like things like that. I think that should be too. If you have a child like Emma, that we've been trying to have these things over time of, hey, she just needs this one thing, or hey, she just needs to focus on this. If we would have had, which right now we haven't, since as long as I've been with Cheryl, if we would have had just one teacher actually take that advice and let her do it, we would have had data in between all of these where she was failing or wasn't getting it or being a problem. We would have been like, it happened right here. It happened right here. If you're willing to do this for the betterment of her, then it will go better for you. Whereas because nobody was looking at that and they were looking at people are going to complain. Now, the only thing on Emma's record is that she's a problem. And I told her that. I was like, sadly, that's how the world works. Once you're tagged as a problem, you're going to forever be tagged as a problem until you do something different, until you physically show something different.
I have a picture on my phone. So when Jordan was in Freeport and he was a problem, I had bought him, not for that specific reason, but I had bought him a teddy bear that was this big. And his teacher, Emma can't have fidget spinners or whatever, his teacher allowed him to have that bear with him. And he became the calmest kid. And his teacher took a picture of him and he had a smile on his face doing his work and the bear sitting next to him. And Tiffany sent it to me and I'm laughing going, and that's all it took.
And how easy is it?
Instead, you have to be this authoritarian. No, this is the way we do it.
Me and Cheryl, I know you haven't finished it yet, but on the podcast that me and Cheryl talked about that, and I'm going to loop myself in with this. I feel like I made my own choices, and I've admitted that, but we were talking about how the school system isn't made for people like us.
No.
It's not made, and this is going to sound counterproductive, but anybody who's been in the school system will understand what I'm trying to say. The school system is not meant for smart people. It's not meant for overthinkers. It's not structured for that. It's structured for do your work, leave. Do your work, leave. Do as I say, leave. That's what it is for. And people who have high functioning intelligence don't do well in that system.
My mom.
Newspaper. I brought that up.
No, my mom said, offhanded, I guess, or whatever. My mom had said, my only job was to get all of my kids through high school. And that's kind of how I feel the school system is just to get them through. Brandon's a good example too, you know? He's such a good kid, though. Let's just push him through.
I'm not saying that all teachers in the school system is completely fucked. There are great teachers.
That care.
I had many of them.
Mm-hmm.
There are great teachers that are doing their best. But Brandon being a good example, and I've told him this, Brandon should have never graduated high school. Brandon should have been held back in the 6th grade for at least minimum 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
If we were going by schoolwork.
Yeah. Till he could catch up.
But because he was a good kid and because people were pushing through, he was able to make it through. And he'll tell you, he wasn't ready. He was very overwhelmed in high school because he wasn't doing anything. He wasn't learning. He wasn't trying to learn. Not that he wasn't smart, but he wasn't making the effort to learn more. And so when he got to high school, he didn't have any of the tools to
learn, to
get what they were saying.
Yeah.
And then it hit him really hard of, oh shit, this actually counts. Like, if I don't do work, I don't graduate. Which is why he graduated late, which, to my brother's credit, he graduated and I didn't.
Well, I'll throw a side note to you too, is Kimberly graduated.
Yep.
You know how Kimberly graduated? Somebody else did her work.
Mm-hmm.
She has told me that several times, that she went to, what's the?
Alt school.
Alt school.
Yep.
And somebody else, her teacher did her work from time to time. Mm-hmm. Her friends did her work, and that's how she graduated. I'm like, how do you expect, and maybe you don't expect kids to learn.
Well, I don't, and that was
your job's just to get them through.
Honestly, I think more, and I said this, I was very lucky when it came to school. I didn't take advantage of it when I had it. But I had a great teacher in alt school. Because the both of them made it to a point where I knew what I was going to do. And I've said this story many times. When I knew that I was going to drop out of high school, I knew what my plan was. I thought it out. I figured out what I was going to do. I figured out if this is the route I'm going to go, then I need to make this work. And those teachers, although encouraging me to finish my schoolwork and whatever, also allowed all of us that went there, I wouldn't say free thinking, outside the box thinking, where instead of read this book and tell me what it's about, there were discussions on what they meant in the book, or if you were going to write this, what would it be? Or why do you think society invested in this book so much, even though it's not really that big a deal? It was very outside of the box thinking instead of just the normal things that I was getting in school at that point before then.
Hmm?
And I think it's time, and I understand why they had the ability to do that. They weren't in the school. Our alt school was in, like, by a bowling alley, way outside of school.
Yeah.
And it was just the two of them. We had maybe like 6 kids. Almost the whole day, no matter what time you went there was a max of like 6 kids. So I understand why they had the ability to do that. They had the ability to sit there with 1 kid or 3 kids and have 3-hour discussions, and they were able to do that, whereas most teachers don't. So I get that, but I think the investment in that, it makes, I wouldn't say better people, it makes more free thinking people. I think most people, I've said this about people that go to college just for the sake of saying they went to college. People that graduate high school, most of them, I'm not going to give a statistic, but I would say most don't remember what they learned in high school.
Mm-hmm.
Most people that get out of high school with a high school diploma, no matter how they got it, don't know what they want to do in college, but they go because they're told they have to go.
So I can do trigonometry, but I can't balance my checkbook or do my taxes.
Yeah. Dude, that was, and I've said that. I say we, because I'm sure that it goes every generation. So unprepared for real life.
Yep.
Like, per your example, I'm really good at math. And luckily I have a job where I get to use it every day. But I don't need to know geometry to flip a burger at McDonald's. Like, I need to know how to make rent. I need to know how to budget. I need to know what gas is going to cost.
Speaking of, I know you probably don't care, but you need to read a room better than what you did yesterday.
I know. No, no.
So that's why I jammed back on you. That's why I did that.
I agree. I know, because I thought about it. But my point wasn't at that.
I know.
It was at, and I've had this talk with him. My point was not that you are in that situation. My point is feeling like that's good enough.
Yeah.
And he doesn't.
That was one of my points that I wanted to talk about today.
He doesn't. And that's something that I've talked to him about, and something I appreciate. I don't think both of them feel that way.
Yeah.
However, I know he doesn't. And that was my point. It wasn't the fact of being in those circumstances. It wasn't because I've been in those circumstances. It wasn't, going over to your parents' house because you don't have food and they do. It's not struggling to make rent. It's not being in those circumstances. It's being in those circumstances and being like, this is my life. Never going to change. Never going to get out of it. Why should I even try? It's that I was talking about.
Yeah, I understand. I will say, along with that too is.
But yes, reading a room. I felt it when I started talking. I was like,
it's still coming out of my mouth. I'm trying to stop. One of the things that I don't know if it shocked me or not was Tiffany said really helped her was, again,
St. Ambrose.
That's a whole nother story. No, so my backstory to this, my sisters will bitch that John was the favorite kid.
Mm-hmm.
And my dad, of course, on a golf course said, they can bitch all they want. When the girls were gone and you were the only kid, we had a lot more money to do whatever we wanted to.
Yep.
And I'll likewise say that to Tiffany. When we just had Tiffany, there was a lot more money. And so the situation came up. She had a chance to go to Washington, D.C.
Yep.
And we had the money to do that. It was like $800, which is a lot of money back then. Still is, but it was a lot more money back then. And we sent her and then we got, I don't know how we found out about Upward Bound, but she got to go live a few weeks in a dorm at University of Northern Iowa.
Yep.
And she goes, those two experiences was one of the best things in my life that could put me on a path to go, okay, I want better.
There's more.
Mm-hmm. And, there are other children that, and don't get me wrong, because my wife, if you understood it, you'd be one of them.
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand someone who doesn't want more. I never have until about a year ago. Mm-hmm. And then for about a year, I fell into that, well, no, I'm good where I'm at. And now it's creeping back in that I don't, and I want more.
I'm okay. And this is kind of where I differ. I'm okay with content in your circumstances. I don't get content as far as like, I'm going to sit on a boat all day for the rest of my life and never ever think.
It sounds really good, right?
It sounds good now.
Like down in Florida or something. Yeah.
Because I get that from you. Me and Tiffany have had this conversation. My brain always thinks, continuously. So vegging out and not thinking or not trying to do, or even this, like not doing something, I will never understand that. However, being content with your circumstances, I think that you can get to a point of that. But if you're going to get to that point, it better be functional. And that's my line, is that you can be content being a manager at McDonald's. Not going to tell you can't, but you better never struggle for money if you're content doing that. You better never complain that you hate your job if you're content doing that. If you can do those things, I will never give you shit that you're a manager at McDonald's. But most people that are like that aren't content with the lifestyle. They're content with the effort. They're content with, I don't have to put effort to be a manager at McDonald's. I have to put effort to do a resume and work here and do this and do all that. That's my problem, is that you should always, I think general population is a lot smarter than anybody gives themselves credit for. And maybe that's a flaw in the human race, that we all have that in some degree. But I think that most people are a lot smarter than they think they are.
I totally agree with that. I can't underline that enough, that I think people are more afraid of what would be ahead of them. They talk themselves out of, oh my God, because now I'm going to have so much more responsibility. There's so much more piled on me. Look where you're at now. You weren't there like 5 years ago, and you're doing fine now. You just have a little confidence in yourself. You go back to him and Kimberly. And Kimberly, if you're listening, I love you to death. But she became an assistant manager at Family Dollar.
Mm-hmm.
And she was all proud of that. And her mom was all proud of that.
Mm-hmm.
And I am. But I take it into what it is and go, you're in a town of 3,000.
Uh-huh.
Are there any regular employees there? I mean, manager, assistant manager, another assistant manager, what? But I told her, but what it does is it would look good on a resume.
Yep.
And she's like, well, what do you mean? They were over a while back, and I'm having this conversation with just her in the kitchen. What do you want to do next? What do you mean? I go, what do you mean? What do I mean? I go, you are an assistant manager at Family Dollar. Do you want to be a manager? I don't know. I never thought of that. Why not?
Mm-hmm.
And so now she's come to a point where they moved to Oshkosh. And thankfully, she got a job at a Family Dollar down there, transfer in. And now it's hard because you don't have somebody who's the manager, blah, blah, blah. And I said, suck it up. I said, you know what you're doing.
All of these,
have a little confidence in yourself.
All of these skills help you. And you give me shit about this all the time, but I tell people this all the time. All the skills that you have, if you take them, help you. My ability to deal with people and float are all my experiences. My ability to know the company way to word things in emails comes from my experiences. My ability to deal with stressful situations comes from all of the jobs that I've had. Just because you have a, I don't know, small job, or you work at McDonald's or whatever, does not mean that doesn't transfer. It may not transfer for a resume, but it does transfer for you to get places, for you to show people. I thought about this. Me and Tiffany talked about this a while back. I was thinking about this yesterday. Me and Tiffany talked about the difference between me growing up in Iowa and growing up here. And I told her then, and I found it hit me. I had a new way of wording it. And I told her then, I was like, I feel like growing up in Seymour gave me that ability to be like, okay, I'm good. But I think growing up in Davenport gave me the hustle that I have. And I have a blend of both.
There's a huge, I don't know who said it. I don't know if I seen it or read it or whatever, but this is the light bulb is so bright in my head. So you're the guy that wants to hire me. Mm-hmm. And you've whittled, or your HR department has whittled 100 resumes, applications down to 10. And now I'm one of the 10. And Mr. Hine, why should we hire you? And this person said, well, let me point one thing out to you here. You have my resume. Mm-hmm. Everything on my resume says I can do this job, which probably says on the other 9 people, right? Mm-hmm. But what I'm here to tell you is I have the ability to not only be a part of your team, but probably lead your team. This isn't about what's on this paper. This is about me and my abilities to get along with people, to build a team together, and to move forward with that team, whether I'm a team player or I lead that team. Mm-hmm. And that's what you need in someone to fill this position. And it might have been a TED Talk, and people stood up and started clapping and everything. Mm-hmm. And I said, people don't understand that. People think that when they go into a job interview and they hand them that resume. It's fucking the same resume that 9 other people.
Yep.
You have to sell yourself and what they're looking for. And there's so many people that
And that's
don't.
something that's learned.
It is.
I told you that when I went on my interview.
It is something not, well, hold on. It's something that's learned, but you need to take that and push it into the job interview and not sit back and go, well, I was here for 5 years.
I really like people.
Yeah. No, that's not going to work. Yeah, you have to be forthcoming with your abilities and what you feel you can do for them. And 9 out of them 10 people are not going to do that, and you need to be that one. Not to mention you have to look pretty too.
Yeah. Something that I've learned also.
Unfortunately, I told you this too, probably. What I told Peanut was, unfortunately, there's old white guys that are going to be judging you that, want to see that you graduated with a master's degree somewhere, and the job doesn't need that.
I told you this when I went on my last interview. So I really enjoy continuous improvement. I like the whole idea of it. I like doing it. I like how my brain works.
We've done it this way all along.
I hate that so much. I hear that on a daily basis, and it just bothers the shit out of me. But I love that. I love thinking of new ways to do things. I like thinking of where we can improve and what we can improve. And that really, I love that part of it. However, and I'll go and I'll double back to, I had this conversation with Emma at one point too. But however, as it stands right now, unless I do it in my company that I work for right now, with my credentials of being there for as long as I have, I cannot get a continuous improvement job anywhere. Because everywhere requires at least a bachelor's degree, if not higher. And that annoys me to the point of, like, I've seen people that have those degrees. I've worked with them I've had CIs at my company that have those degrees that don't know shit.
Yep.
And think of one good idea a year to get their paycheck to stay in CI, and that's it. And I think of that and I go, that just frustrates me because I do not need a degree to do this job.
I thought about you the other day. I think you missed a big window of opportunity.
I missed a few of them.
When COVID hit, people took their qualifications down tremendously.
Yeah.
So what was needed for a bachelor's degree was now, and it's since been reworded again, but got reworded to what we is
or experience.
You would fit in if you had a bachelor's degree, and now they're saying bachelor's degree required.
But that just annoys me. I've said it in my job too, and I've told Cheryl that's part of the fun for me, and I know that you have part of this too, because me and you have talked about it. But that's part of the fun for me is when people say you can't do this. and I know part because of the relationship me and my old boss have. I know that this was her way of pushing me through it, like getting me to that, because she knows that about me. But I was told I would never be in leadership, even though I was doing it. I was doing it for a straight year as an operator. I was making decisions. I was making calls. I was putting in downtime. I was doing the job without doing the job. And she told me that when I told her, I was like, I would really like to be a team lead. And she's like, I don't think you're ready for it, which pushed me to do it. And then I asked her again, and she's like, I don't think you're ready for it. I don't see you going above and beyond, is what she said. And I was like, and it was at that point, and I've kind of held to this pretty much for the most part. I told her then, I was like, I am not going to do a job I'm not paid for. I'm not going to go above and beyond and do somebody else's job so they can sit in the office while I'm not getting paid for it. And I told her that straight out. I said, if you give me this job, you know my ability, you know I can do it. You give me this job, you pay me for it, I will try my hardest to do everything I can in this position, but I'm not going to do it before that point.
But you can't do the same thing. Flip that. You can't say, well, we're going to pay you $10,000 more with the hope that you're going to do it. No, you have to prove yourself first.
And I've done that with and that's what's different about me, is that I have always had that mentality. I've done that with everybody that I've trained. I've done that with everybody I've worked with. I just had that happen with somebody at work where they walked out. I was telling Chris this story where they walked.
You told me that story.
Yeah. Well, they walked out because I told them that, because they saw the dollar signs.
You'd pay me $4 more an hour.
They saw the dollar signs.
If you get that.
Yeah, they saw the dollar signs for operator pay, and they went, well, when are you going to push me to train for an operator?
When you show me you can do this job.
You've been here 3 days and you can't even do a label check. No.
That's awesome.
But I've always done that, and I feel like that should take credit. I feel like you should be able to get credit not only in your company, but as a resume with that. If I say that I have 4 years of operating experience where I did my own maintenance, where I did my own running, my own inventory, all of that, and you have a machine that the only thing an operator has to do on that machine at your warehouse is push a button, and maintenance does all the changeovers, maintenance does everything. So as an operator, with that on my resume, I should be able to walk in there and get that fucking job. But that's not how it works. And I don't get that. I think that your ability should have credit.
I like to tell a story, and you probably know most of it, is I was lucky to take over a warehouse in Des Moines. And it was a very small warehouse compared to the other
T-shirt.
The other 70 warehouses that we had in the country. And it was called a satellite warehouse. And I'm told after the fact that when I said the salary was good, wasn't great, but it was better than what I was making, and I could run my own warehouse, again, small satellite warehouse. I was told after the fact that after I took the job and started running it, putting it together and running it, well, we considered 19 other people before you actually took the job. And that's great.
Thanks.
19 other people didn't want it. Was I stupid here? But I put the time in, showed them what I could do. And in 2 years, I was in the top 15% of 72 warehouses we had in the country. I was nationally recognized at a thing in Key Biscayne, which was wicked awesome. And it just boggled my mind to your mom and I both when the vice president of the company comes up and sits down with us at the table and says, "Thank you for all your efforts. We know how great you're doing." And that moved me forward too. But again, that would have never happened if I didn't stick my neck out. And I think you need to stick your neck out to do so. To go back what we were discussing before, I know you like tattoos.
No.
I was going to laugh at you because are your tattoos not keeping your hands warm right now?
No, they're not.
I raised my children to be nonconformists.
Still stand by that?
I would be called a hypocrite because I was a big conformist because I knew what I had to do to get where I wanted to be, to get in those meetings, to get to that position where I'm going to run my own warehouse. I had to wear the pretty boat shoes and the Dockers and the collared shirt when I'm more comfortable like this. And, and I told you guys all this, it would be nice if you could walk into an interview looking like this and be regarded not only what's on that paper, but how I talk to you, and you'll know. Mm-hmm. But it's not that. It's a collared shirt. It's it used to be a suit. When I got this job with the company I'm with right now, I wore a suit and tie to an interview. To the job that I just took, moved up, same company though. It was a pair of Dockers and a collared shirt, and that was it. There was no tie, there was no suit jacket, there was nothing. It was just so times change, but I don't think the people that are making those judgments on you are not.
I agree.
And I think and I'm not pointing the finger at you per se, but as a general statement, I still think you need to put on a show to appease the people.
To get in the door.
Yes, to get you the position and then go, okay, watch this.
I have said this to Cheryl, many times, because you're right, and I don't think.
First of all, I was wrong to say don't conform. That was wrong of me.
No. I was going to say I don't think it was wrong. I don't think it was wrong for you. I think that you raised your children to think outside the box in every aspect.
And Tiffany will say, "There's a box,"
and I think that is a good parenting choice. I think that all of us. I've said this to Tiffany. I think all of us have some sort of that defiance nature of not conforming in some form or another. I would say
you can think smarter than the people that you're interviewing.
Yeah. I think me and Tiffany's me and Tiffany's ability to outthink people in interviews and know exactly what they want to say, what they want us to say with the questions that they're asking, I think is a big thing. However, I think that with me specifically with that, I don't think it's a bad thing. I think it's a good thing. It makes, yes, I've said this to Cheryl, it makes life probably harder. My hand tattoos, the fact that I can wear a shirt and it's still noticeable, probably does not help me in most interviews.
I think it's getting better.
But that being said,
I think 10 years ago it wouldn't have.
No. I think that being said, though, I like that about me. I like that about my personality. I like being able. There's a whole.
Then you know your place in life, kind of though. I've made these choices, and if I had no tattoos showing and clean shaven and pretty hair that was parted on the side, and say, "Hi, how are you this day?
Yep.
How's the family going?" That you're selling your soul to the devil.
Yep. and I know that. I said that about my hand tattoo when I told Cheryl I was going to get this. I told her I was like mainly I wanted it for a long time, but mainly because she's like, well, you're in this position or whatever, and she doesn't really care about that either, but she brought it up. And I was like, it's a fuck you, really, because it's something that you can't make me cover up. They're not gonna. You can make me cover up this.
Hey, you know what?
You can make me cover up this. You can make me cover up my neck. You can't make me cover up my hand.
You're right, but we don't have to hire you then.
Fair. But
again, old white guy mentality,
But with that,
you got tattoos? Oh, okay. Bring in the next person, please.
But with that, yes, interviews probably, and it is getting better. I will agree with you. Most people that I've seen have tattoos in some regard. Not a whole lot with hand tattoos, but however, it does, like you said, your place in life. It does give me that somewhat satisfaction of whether or not you're going to hire me or whether or not you're going to accept me in your little group of supervisors.
Yep.
I still know that even with this, I can run circles around all of you. I'm smarter than you are.
Well,
I can
yes, but knowing that doesn't pay the bills.
It doesn't pay the bills. But I have the luxury of being to a point where I'm okay enough.
Did you get the job? No, but I'm smarter than they are.
But again, I'm okay enough financial wise that I can. It is a personal thing for me. I like that. I've always liked proving people wrong, even if they have an idea of who I am or what I can do. I like walking into a room. I say it to Cheryl all the time. I like walking into meetings with uppers who make all the decisions and shit and hear them talk, and I'm like, you don't even know what the fuck you're talking about. Nothing you're saying is making sense.
Wow.
I could have done this meeting so much better because I actually know what the fuck I'm talking about.
Yeah.
It just gives me personal gratification that, yeah, you get paid $120,000, $200,000 a year. Well, I get paid less than half, and you don't even know half the things that I know.
Yeah, but we had, my boss's boss, who has an office about 12 feet away from me, had a meeting with all of the people underneath her, which is about 20 people. And we were discussing, what would make you more efficient at your job? And one of our upper...
Well, a really hot secretary would really be helpful.
I could just gaze out of her. I don't know. That's sorry. Now, one of the upper finance schedulers said, there's this pause, because nobody wants to say, I'm not going to, And he goes, well, I'll tell you, the meetings we have, there are a lot of meetings. He goes, I don't know that I have a free moment to actually do my job anymore because there's so many meetings and so much stuff on my calendar. And I kind of did. I had my mic hot at the time and I didn't realize it. I was like, and she goes, John, did you need to say something? And I go, okay, actually I will. I'll jump on Bill's bandwagon. I go, you hired me to do a job. You did not hire me to attend all these meetings. And the thing that really doesn't work for me is a lot of these people that have these meetings are people that are trying to fill up time in their job, maybe because they're bored or for whatever reason, but they're calling a meeting that has nothing to do with really
the people
anything
involved.
It's very annoying for somebody like myself trying to do my job and go, oh, I have to go to this meeting where all she wants to do is talk about this that has nothing to do with me. Mm-hmm. And Bill, our schedule's like, so that's what I was trying to say. John just said. And she goes, do I have an agreement on this? And people are like, yeah, there's way too many meetings that don't mean anything to us. And
I have there are two things to that point. I understand in a company you're trying to make things work. I understand you're trying to save face, especially in a bigger company like our company. We handle a lot of big name people. So if we fuck up, their name is on the line. Right. So you have to do things to kind of save. Mm-hmm. I know we made you look bad, but which for what it's worth, the last year they've been making us look bad because their products have been shit that they've been sending us. But that's the point. So I understand you're trying to do a lot of things kind of in seconds to kind of make things or be like, well, we're fixing it. See what we did? But like I said, with the people in charge, I don't think that they really understand how the process works. So then they implement these things that just makes everybody's job harder, which makes your shit go down. If you have people, and this is my example, we had a label issue. You know how this works. It has a label on the outside of the box. Mm-hmm. Expediter scan it, puts it in their system, right? Mm-hmm. So our labeler was floating. So it cut off the first 3 little lines of the barcode. Nobody could scan it, right?
Correct.
50 some pallets, which is roughly 3,000-ish.
You told me this story. Let me ask you a question. Because this wouldn't be allowed, I don't think, at our plant. Mm-hmm. Could you relabel them?
Yes.
Could you take the label that's on there and just stick the label?
You can't.
Because some people don't allow you to.
You can't put it on top.
You got to rip it off.
Yep. Okay. Put a new one on.
So you rework it and.
Yep.
Okay.
Which is what we did. We pulled them all off and put brand new labels on.
Okay.
But because of that, it got put on hold. Notifications went out. Everybody saw that it was put on hold. My shift, my fuck up. I was busy doing other shit. So because of that.
That's QA's issue, but that's another thing.
This is what I'm getting at. Okay. So QA has to do a check. Mm-hmm. Every hour. Mm-hmm. They have to check the outside of the box, mm-hmm. that it's taped, that the label's right. The mm-hmm. inside of the box, that the orientation's right, that it's the right way. Code dates, labels, package, everything. They have to do it every hour. Mm-hmm. Obviously, that didn't happen for 50 some pounds. Their fix for this is that now our case pack people that can't get a 30-minute check into a computer on time have to now do that check. And they have to do it paper form. They have to sit there at the box. Tape's good. Code date is this. Write out the whole code date. Write out the whole manufacturer date. Write out the whole name. Then move on to the inside of the box. Okay, there's 18 in this box. 2 of them are fucked up. The 2 that were fucked up were leakers, what the fuck ever. Label number is this. Film number is this. Mm-hmm. I'm going to tell you, I've done this check before. We had it in Rapid Pack years ago. I'm telling you, that one form takes about 10 minutes. So you have people that can't get a 30-minute check-in on time. 9 times out of 10, we don't have staffing to where they have a minute to do it, which is why I let it go that they don't get it in time as long as they get it in. You're going to have them take time out of their day when they're running around trying to fix everything and keep everything running to do a paper copy that your QA department is supposed to do every hour. And that is their fix. And that's my point, is that I feel like most people see that and go, this will fix the problem. And you're not looking at the whole picture.
Yeah. It will fix the problem. It's just not efficient.
Yeah. It'll fix. If we had 20 people in case pack and we had somebody that's their job all night, more, yes, you're right. That will fix so many fucking problems. However, we do not have that.
Mm-hmm.
And you're causing more problems because now that one person who is in the middle, who is our only person in the middle, not packing boxes and should be fixing the box or fixing the tape or fixing the Weber so we can run efficiently, is now taking time out of their day away from those things, writing down on a piece of paper that's going to take 10 minutes. And in that 10 minutes, he could have let shit go because he's looking at that one box.
Yep. Yeah, it's unfortunate that your business started here, and you realized you had to have more people to make it run efficiently. So now you're here, and then you realized, well, you needed to do this to do a little better job, and you could get more in by doing this, and now you have this many people, and sometimes you need to step back and go, I don't need all of this. Let's dial it down in. And
I've said this about my company so many times. We have generated 4 new lines in the last 2 years. 4. We had 4 lines in 10 years. Or no, I think it was 12. 12 years before that. It took 12 years to have 4 lines before. We've done 4 in 2. And we don't have the staffing for them. And we have all these problems. And we don't have the amount of maintenance that we need to keep them up and running. And I said this, but we keep taking more meat. We keep taking more orders. And I told Cheryl this. I was like, why? You can't even run the one plant, and we have 2. You can't even run the one plant efficiently to continuously make your money weekly. Why would you keep making more?
Because there's a president and there's a sales staff that go, oh my God, we can do this. And they have no idea about the inner workings of what it takes to do it.
That's what I'm saying, though. And then they look at all of us and look.
Hey, you're going to make it work. Don't worry about it.
I've been told that. I have literally been told that luckily I have a good relationship with him because I've known him since I started there. But I had a screaming match with him about that because he said that to me one time. And I was like, oh, no. No, you're not going to fucking do that. Because it was when we were going to, this was like 2 years ago. Everybody was supposed to have off for Thanksgiving. We had a shit ton of issues. We got behind. So I worked 3rd shift. And so he said, because my boss was on vacation, and so I was in charge. He's like, can you get people to come in tomorrow? And I went, no. And he's like, well, we're behind. We need to finish out this meet. I said, no. And he goes, well, I know you guys can make it work. And I was like, I could. But it's the day before Thanksgiving, and I'm not going to tell people that they need to come in to run for 3 hours.
By the way, this is more important than you are.
No, I said I'm not going to do it. I said if you want to go ask people, if you want to go out there and ask them if they want to come in, feel free. I was like, I'll come in. If you get enough, I even told them that. I was like, if you get enough volunteers, I'll come in. I'll come in and be the facilitator for it. I was like, but I'm not going to ask my people to come in the day before Thanksgiving.
We had a discussion about, I don't know if it was over Thanksgiving or somewhere near Christmas, but they were willing to pay people triple time. And somebody spoke up and said, it's not going to matter.
Nope.
They want their time off. They don't want to. And they're like, what? It was like, you need to talk to the people and ask them if they want to come in, and they're going to tell you no.
People are so dead set. Companies, I should say, companies are so dead set that throw some money at them. That'll make them happy. That's not what people want. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. COVID fucked it up.
Yeah.
I tell people that all the time. Before COVID, you could have thrown money at people and they would have been like, okay, I'll overwork myself. I won't sleep for 3 days and continue to work for you because you're paying me more. COVID let everybody go home and be with their families. I'm sorry, it fucked it up for you. People want time. People want to not work. People want to be away from work and be with their families or be at home or go do things.
The funny part of what I just told you was some high salaried employees, and I quote, "Well, it's triple time. They should want that money, shouldn't they?" So you're saying they should want that money, shouldn't they? You're not in their position. Who are you to say what they want?
I'm going to go back because I love this, and I sent this to Cheryl. This keeps replaying in my head since the moment I heard it. There's a motivational speaker. I can't remember his name. Sebastian something. Can't remember what his last name is, but he does things for billionaires, like not motivational talks, but kind of helps them do their money and kind of do things for billionaires. And so he does these motivational talks or whatever, and I've listened to a few of them. I really like him, but one of the things that he said, he has a whiteboard. There's a whole separate section, but he writes on there time, skills, and something else. And he goes on this long rant about how you need to understand what you are good at and you need to focus on that. He's like, no matter what it is, he's like, even if somebody tells you the odds of getting in the NFL are point with 0.000 whatever percent, if you know in your heart that you're really good at football and you know that this can be a career and you work at it and you work at it and you know that this is your career path, he's like, don't let anybody tell you that you can't.
Because you're going to have to find it out for yourself.
But then he comes back and he says this one statement, and it keeps playing in my head. He says, get paid for your skills, not your fucking time. Yep. Find somewhere where you get paid for your skills and not the time you put in at that job.
Totally agree.
And it's one thing that just replays in my head because I feel like most people just take, and me and you have had this conversation, most people just take money. Even if it's something that they're not good at or don't want to do.
I've tried to drum this into your head, and all of my kids said, and your mom laughs at me too, because I think she's on that spectrum too, is you have, like, that's a really good example, is get paid for what you do and you need to cut out the, I'm getting paid this amount per hour. Oh, okay. But how many hours are you putting in? You know, Tiffany thought it was awesome when she was working 80 hours a week. You're killing yourself. You can find a job that would pay you the same for 40 hours a week. And the paychecks are like right in front of your face going, oh, I'm making all this. Are you?
I think that's something that I jump too fast at. I agree with you. I think salary is a great thing to have.
In the right situation.
But if you are working more than your salary is cut for,
this is true.
Your salary doesn't mean shit.
Well, there's a caveat to that too, though. There's yes, I'll take a salaried position because I expect to only work my 40 hours a week, and that's, you can't think that way. Mm-hmm. It's not. But I've been doing this for way so long, so I get it. There are weeks that I work 60 hours a week. Mm-hmm. But there are also weeks that I work 30, 35 hours a week. It all blends too. And the biggest thing for me, and I don't think people take this into account enough, is your life becomes focused on a dollar bill.
Yep.
And if you could take that focus away, think of all the fun other stuff. It
frees up your ability.
It does. Yep. It does.
I agree.
And, you know, I have some children that focus on that dollar bill. And, well, if I can work a couple hours overtime, it'll give me this. Mm-hmm. And why don't you dial in your life to what you can do at this amount of money? And if you do get a couple hours overtime, that's just money to throw in the bank or in your pocket. But so many people focus on that dollar bill. And if you take that away, it frees up so much of your head.
I think I agree. I've said this to Cheryl. I don't like the fact that I work salary and work more than what I'm getting paid. I think our construct at work of salary people is overextended. I think we get people with these, it happened to me. You get people with these dollar amounts And you go, oh shit, I'm going to be making that much.
Yeah.
And then when you start doing the math, after you've already signed that paperwork, when you start doing the math of, okay, so I'm getting paid this salary for 5 days a week, but I'm working 6, and I'm also working an extra 3 hours on a Sunday, an extra 4 hours on a Saturday. So that's another day. So I'm working 7 days, but only getting paid for 5. And it's stuff like that if personally for me, I think that I wasn't prepared for that.
So
I was more focused on salary and going, I need consistent money. I
Yeah,
need something that is going to be this set amount every single time I get paid, no matter how many times within reason, no matter how many times I call in or whatever, this money is always going to be here. Now, I was more focused on that than actually thinking long term.
but how much time does that take up in your head?
Not a whole lot.
Really? No. I mean, because I'm working all this and all this and all this, and there's so many people that takes up a massive amount of. I've been screwed. You signed the paper, didn't you?
It doesn't take a whole lot of time in my head, but it does. It is a thing that I do think about.
So
when I'm sitting there for an extra 4 hours after everybody's left the plant, because I am expected to close every single PN and make sure that it's all right before the holiday season. I do think about it then when I'm like, I'm not even getting paid for this 4 hours I'm sitting here.
I will say what I have learned is, and it killed me to learn this because I got really pissed, is you still need to document those things.
Yep.
And not to the point of, well, no, this comes to an annual review, which is what we have. Mm-hmm. And that annual review, that's when you go, here. Now, I know you're paying me this salary, and I know I agreed to it. But this is what came along with it that was not clear to me, that is very clear to me now. And I'm not saying my salary should be this, but we need to be somewhere in here.
I said, and that was the one thing, and luckily my old supervisor, like I said, with the relationship that we have, I told her that I was going to start doing that, because I'm really good at my job, and I don't say
I don't know if you knew this, but
say that
I'm a pretty big deal.
I don't say it to be that way, but I say
but
that.
I do.
But I say that in a way of, I know I'm really good at my job. And so since the beginning, I've been documenting how good at my job I am. I've gone 3 different lines now and turned them around and make them efficient. I have taken 2 groups of people that outwardly were told by every shift that they can't work together, and that line and those people would never run efficient, and I made it happen. I've done that, and I have documentation on that. Whereas now, and even now, I told you about the 27,000.
Yep.
We had a whole meeting about how this line runs like shit, and what are we gonna do, and whatever. And I made $27,000 by the end of that week. By the end of the week after. And that was me. And I'm not saying me specifically. I wasn't saying like all 3 shifts didn't play a role in there. I'm just saying, because of the things that I'm doing and working with, and how I'm working with other shifts and whatever, I have put in something that works, that has shown that it works. I did it as an operator. And I told her that I was like, that's going to be part of it, is that I know I agreed to it. We've had conversations about it. I know what I agreed to. However, I don't think you guys knew what you agreed to, and that's my problem.
They were trying to fill a hole. They put you in that hole and filled that void. Mm-hmm. But that void that needed filling is this big, not this big.
Yep. And I don't think they understand. I say this to people all the time. People think, I know it's a continuous thing with me. Me and you have talked about this. People think I'm lazy. People think I don't do anything, and that's fine from an outsider point of view. But you can't do what I do, and that shows that I'm not.
My son said he could do what I do too, so I take it with a grain of salt.
I feel like I could.
Without knowing.
No.
So now you're a hypocrite. Now you're a complete hypocrite.
No, not
because you said people don't know what I do, and then I go, well, you think you know? Well, I could.
I'm saying with training, I feel like I could do what you do. However,
I'm sure anybody could do any kind of job with the proper training.
But
there are idiots out there that can't. I
don't think people really understand the things that I do, because I spend a lot of time in the office, but I have, me and you have talked about this, I have screens. I have my weights. I have my temperatures of everything in the room. I even figured out how to get the screens for our rapid pack machines on my computer, so I can see when they go down, when they go up, when they go down, what alarms they have, what speeds, what temps. I have it all on there, on top of going out on the line and actually physically checking stuff. It's not like I'm sitting there not doing anything. And that's why my numbers are better than most people, is because I'm not just sitting there and waiting for something to happen.
No, but you and you, I'm sure you understand this, but you have to understand that you've been in the trenches before, and you know, whereas if you bring in Joe Guy off the street, he's not going to know what you know. There's a lot to be said if you've lived it.
I agree.
And so I was going to ask you, so do you have an annual review? Or
I do. When? Now we do.
You know when that is?
I think mine is in February, March or February, something like that.
I have.
It's right when we get our bonuses.
I think I have mine somewhere in there, and I think we get our bonuses in not till April, May, or something like that. But my boss has been because as I said, I went through this where I saved the company a boatload of money. Mm-hmm. Well, it was never documented, and the guy that knew that I did was taking a promotion and didn't care about anything down here, me. And I said, "Hey, wait, you remember this?" And he goes, "Oh, I'm sorry." I'm sorry doesn't get it. And so
I'm sorry doesn't get me fucking paid.
Yeah, my new boss is like, okay, you need to document everything you've done. And so I've done that. And she continually, once a month, we have a one-on-one. And she goes, so have you done that? Because, the end of the year is coming up. I go, it's on a Word document. It's on my screen. I haven't saved it. It's saved, but I haven't saved it and put it in a file or anything. It just keeps, every day it keeps coming up in front of me. So I said, I know we're going to have a plant shut down here soon. Mm-hmm. I'll get it all put together and be done. But if you don't, it's all your own fault, really. Mm-hmm. So, good times.
And I don't think renegotiation is the biggest thing I think I've ever been told. I think people need to be more apt to that when it comes, especially with salary positions. I think renegotiation should be a part of business. I think if I hire you to, I don't know, put a piece of paper on a wall for a certain, and then you have to make signs and put those metal signs on a wall, I think I should pay you more that you went from paper to metal. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think renegotiation is something that people need to be more apparent to. Need to go to their bosses and say, okay, I know we did this, but this is what I've done.
It would be nice if they could put a value on your head. Because
preach it to the choir.
You know what? I'm the CEO up here, and I'm telling my general manager, we've got enough for raises for 3% across the board. No, that's not acceptable. Mm-hmm. You should understand that, Joe Smith here, 3% because he's cruising. Mm-hmm. And Lisa here, same thing. But Zach is exceeding all expectations, and he should get 8, 9, 10%. And that's what needs to be understood, and isn't.
And our company...
No, and the GM goes, oh, I'm sorry, Zach, it's 3% across the board. That's what I was told to do. And you have to come back and go, no.
Our company we haven't done raises. We did an overall raise during COVID. I think this year is the first year we're bringing reviews back, like actual reviews this year. But they straight out told one of the supervisors that used to work there, I know because I was there when they did it, even though I shouldn't have been. But one of my supervisors, he was a lot like me, very for the people kind of person. And he told them, they gave them, when they did the reviews, they said, this is the amount of money that you have to distribute. You can do it however you want, based on the percentage that you gave them for the reviews or whatever. And he said, I won't take mine. I'm going to give everybody the same amount all across the board? And they went, no. And he's like, what do you mean, no? You said that I have this amount to distribute between my people. This is how I want to distribute between my people. And they're like, no, you can't do that. You need to have this a lot of money for your raise as well. And then this, you have to go by the percentage based on their reviews. So he just went back in the reviews and put them all to like threes or whatever. And they still wouldn't let him give the same amount. They were like, well, this person's only been here a year. This person's only been, so this person gets this. And at the end of it, he said that. He's like, so what was the point of you telling me I have this amount of money? Why didn't you just tell me give this
is what's
person?
Gonna do, yeah.
But I think people should be, employees specifically should be rewarded on their brains and their abilities more so than time served or position.
I may disagree with you a little bit because I'm aware of people that aren't the smartest,
but they do the job. That's why I said
work like a motherfucker.
That's why I said it. That's why I said it. Also, experience.
And for that guy you were talking about earlier that had been there for 3 days, he was probably way smart or thought he was.
Yeah.
You know what? You work your ass off, and then we'll talk. But just telling me, hey, I'm much better than this.
My dad instilled that in me from a very young age, and he still says it. You got to show me.
Yep.
You got to show me. I'm sorry. I got told that. Not told that. I got hinted at that when I first started this job, and I've done it on every job since. I'm not going to hand you a position. You show me you can do it.
Very hard not to say, I told you so.
Yeah, no shit.
But where's my money? I'm going to need some more money now that I did show you.
So,
hey, hello, kitty.
Is there anything else that you want to talk about?
No.
Any other ideas?
No, I think we covered the poopery.
the poopery.
No, I was very, to bring it back to the beginning, I was very happy yesterday. I didn't see the cake coming at all, so that was kind of cool.
Kimberly almost ruined it too. She walked in and was like, because she had the cake. That's why Mom was so pissed, like that she was late.
Yeah.
And she set it on the table or whatever. And we're all sitting there talking. You're still in your chair, and who said something? It wasn't Kimberly, but she pointed. Oh, Braylon. She pointed at Braylon, and Braylon was like, "Is that cake?" And I was like, "Shut up."
No, but I won't say who. But I had 2 people tell me yesterday, I wish you were my dad. So that was kind of like cool. But I don't know. As I said, bring it back around to the beginning and say how blessed I am that things have worked out the way they have. I'm not sitting in a ditch unemployed with a box.
There's that.
Sorry. Did I tell you that story with the cardboard box thing?
No.
This was hilarious. So I bitch at Peanut a lot when I pick him up. So what'd you learn today, and everything. And most of the time I have to take his friend home. And that's a whole another side story. But his friend sits in the back seat, and I bitch at Peanut to say, you need to get your shit done, and this is why, and look farther than your nose. Mm-hmm. This is where you want to go. And then in back seat is like, hey, Jeremiah, did you see this here? I go, see, he's not even listening. And he should be. And, oh, no, I can't remember where I was going with this because it was very...
Cardboard box.
Oh, so Jameer's with us, right? And I go, he's not even listening. I said, he's going to be the one that's sitting on the side of the road with the cardboard box and it's going to be raining. Jameer goes, it's okay. If the outside of the box gets wet, you can always flip it over. And I said, see? He just gave you a hint of what to do when you're sitting on the side of the cardboard box.
At least he's listening.
Exactly. Yeah, I can't smack kids upside the head enough these days to get a good education. And as I said, unfortunately, there's still old white guys that are judging you by that education, where a lot of times your real world experience would far exceed anybody with that education. But that's the society we are in.
I was going to make this point earlier, but you kind of circled back around it, so I'm going to make it now. I told Emma this a while ago, and I said it on the podcast, the last one with Cheryl. This is going to be a really difficult thing for me, because I'm not saying that this would happen, but I know that there's a potential for it to happen. Obviously, I dropped out of high school.
I've heard that about you.
I've told you that high school is not made for overly smart people, especially for people like Emma with ADHD. I feel like people like that are set up to fail in that construct. So I told Cheryl, I was like, it's going to be really difficult for me if Emma comes to me one day and is like, I don't want to do it. Because the parent in me is going to be like, are you fucking kidding me right now? But also, I can't be a hypocrite. I get it. I understand. And so I told her early, and I said this on the podcast, I told her early, I was like, and as my parent, you're probably going to take offense to this, I am forever stuck where I'm at. I can only go so far where I'm at because I dropped out of high school. I can only work factory jobs. I can only hope that my experience outweighs the fact that I didn't graduate high school and didn't go to college. I, although can broaden my box, still in one. Whereas if you graduate high school, even if you don't go to college right away, if you graduate high school, you have a leg up on people and you are able to get different types of jobs because of that.
Mm-hmm.
I told her that a long time ago. I was like, I'm going to be disappointed to the fact that I think you're wickedly fucking smart and you can do it. However, if that is something that you do, I want a plan. I want where you're going to go, what you're going to do, how you're going to do it. Because it can't just be an easy answer because my stepdad did it.
I will tell you, though, on my podcast, I want to bring in the people that I know. There's a lot of people that I know. They may have high school educations, and that's it, though. And they own their own company. And they're making... there's a guy that's was easily making over $1 million. There are people that are making hundreds of thousands of dollars that I know that only have high school educations. And they'd made it work doing their own thing. Mm-hmm. They decided working for somebody else is not my gig. It does. It does. And I'm not going to have the man tell me what to do. And they go out on their own. And they have stories, Zach, that I've heard that are just killer stories of how they were knocked down to the ground so hard and said, fuck it, I'm coming back up, and did it. And those are the people that I would like to talk to and interview and have other people hear their story, because people need to hear that, because so many people are afraid to fail. I'm going to be in a comfort zone. I'm going to work for a nice company, and I really want to do this up here, but I'm too scared. I just need to be in that comfort zone with the blinders on. And you need to understand that you can do it. And and I'll use Emma as an example. And God, I think she's so smart, Zach. I really do. And I bitched at her. Just get your shit together, you know? And she's one of them that could go, and you tried to put yourself in a box.
And you, as my parent, took offense to that?
I did, because now you're limiting yourself and what you could do. And just as I don't know, but just as a stupid side note to you is, yeah, I'm good at what I do. I know what I do. I know this and that. Okay, if you know all that, then find a better way. Then go to the company that you work for and say, hey, this widget, if we put this right here, it's going to make efficiency 10% more. And by the way, I hold the patent rights to this, not you. I'm trying to help you. And just as a stupid side note, that if you know all this, there's a better way. And I'm sure you could figure it out because you have the history and are so good at it. Don't put the blinders on and go, I'm so good. You're making yourself vertical and not horizontal. Got that?
Yeah.
I could invent a widget that could make this so much better. Not that you can, but you can.
Or I could get sued by the company that I do a podcast about. Either one.
That's true too.
Either one.
See, back here, him and his dad were talking about he knows about this, and he was working on it while he worked for us, and so therefore, it's our property. No, but
Anyway,
don't limit yourself.
but as far as Emma, that's your
That was your
advice. Or your thought?
I thought I had told you that when she first came back here, I put a foot up her ass and shoot her ass, and I go, "You're way too fucking smart for this," and you know you. But with Emma, as Tiffany is trying to get me to do with Peanut, she needs the wherewithal to understand the system. When she says my teacher is stupid and blah blah blah, she may be right. But in saying it, then you know it, and then you got to figure out, okay, I'm gonna put my fucking time in and do this to get past that instead of stopping yourself.
That's what I told her. I told both the girls that. I was like, I know it doesn't seem like it, and I know this is going to sound like a parent talking to you because my dad said the same thing to me, and I thought the same thing. I said it to both of them. I was like, I get it. I was like, but I really want you to hear what I'm saying. This is the easiest part you will ever have to do.
Yep.
I said, the real world is hard. The real job is hard. This is the easiest thing you ever have to do. You have to go to school, do what they tell you, do the work. You're done.
In Emma's case, though, the real world might be the fun place.
True.
You know, because this is so boring and da-da-da-da-da. But now there are bigger challenges once you get in that real world, and maybe she'll thrive there, and hopefully she will. But she has to understand, I got to get through all this shit first.
That was where
nobody wants to do this.
I said that to both of them. That was where I went wrong. That was what I convinced myself of, is that this is so fucking stupid. Why do I even need to do this? My brain, and I know you laugh at me for making statements like this. My brain was so up here compared to school that I went, none of this shit even fucking matters. I'm way smarter than what they're trying to teach me right now. Why does it even matter if I do this 2+2 fucking homework? And I thought I was too good for it. Now, looking back on it, I was like, it would have been so much easier to just fucking do it and get it over with.
I told Peanut that out on the patio one day when he first came in. I go, I keep using that old white people thing. I said, there's an old white guy that's going to want that piece of paper, Peanut. And whether you're smarter than that or not has no meaning to him.
Yep.
He just wants to know that you put the time in and did it. And I said, unfortunately, that's the way our society is. Unless you want to go out on your own and create your own widget or create your own service that can make you millions of dollars, which can happen.
Yep.
I wish I was one of those people. I kind of am, but probably lazy. But I'm one of those people that likes the comfort of the job that I have right now. It has good benefits and good pay, and that's comfort for me. And I know there's a paycheck every week or every 2 weeks.
Your brain is a muscle.
Yeah, I know. Exercise it.
The more you use it, the better it gets.
Yep.
That's why I like these. That's why I like, for real. That's why I tell Cheryl that all the time. That's why I like doing these, and that's why I like, going to bars and talking to people. I like how people's brain works. I like challenging my own point of view in a way of, oh, I never thought about that, or I never had that experience. I understand why somebody would think that going through what they went through or whatever.
Speaking of going to a bar, so you know who Warren Buffett is?
I do.
So
you talked to Warren Buffett?
He came out recently. I didn't even know he was able to because he's really old, but he came out with a thing a day or so ago that basically told people how they're wasting money. And going to a bar is wasting money because you should drink. If you're going to be a drinker, drink at home.
Drink at home.
It's a lot cheaper.
I tell people that all the time.
He tells people, if you want to gather with some friends of yours and have dinner, don't go to a restaurant. Have them over to your house and everything. And you'd be so much cheaper. And I'm like, oh, you're going to bring down the industry now. But personally, that's money.
Yep.
And you think, oh, I need to go out and have a beer. I realized that a little bit. We used to go to a bar every Friday.
Mm-hmm.
And now
you drink at home.
And now I drink at home. I really do. And you know what triggered that really? Not only the kids, but what triggered that was I used to send you pictures.
Yep.
Look how cheap this is,
Or you would get what was it? What was the one? You sent me one of them that was like $13 or something like that.
So that's what started it. So like 2 weeks prior, your mom gets a beer and I get a glass of whiskey. And although it was a big full glass of whiskey, I'll give them that. It was like $8. And I'm, you can't fucking beat $8 for this. You can't. And plus, you get the atmosphere and the people talking around you, and that's cheap money.
Mm-hmm.
But now you've raised the price to $13. And I did. I'm one of those people who go, hey, wait. And I said, can I talk to the manager? And the person I was talking about, oh my God, he's upset. He wants it, I'm not upset. And I had to tell him like 5 times, I'm not upset. I just want to know where you're at here. Well, the prices of liquor have gone up. And I go, $5? I said, again, I'm not upset.
You want to go check out Woodman's?
I'm not upset. I'm just trying to understand what you're doing. And, we're really sorry. And can we get you a glass for free? I don't want a free glass.
Just want to know what the deal is.
And so that was their price. We went there a couple more times and it was $13, $14 a shot. And it varied on who the bartender was too. And then you go to Woodman's and you buy 2 bottles for, I think, $32. And you go, I can sit in my garage and drink massively cheap compared to going to a bar. So that was Warren Buffett's thing, is drink at home or eat at home. And
yeah, but also I think that I understand the point. And yes, I agree with you. However, there's something to be said, and I'm sure you know this with how much you've gone to bars, as I do. There's something to be said about sitting next to somebody you don't know, and you would have never met on any other time, and him just lean over to you and been like, "Game fucking sucks, huh?" Like this.
Fuck yes, it does. The community.
Yeah,
it's funny. And I don't want to go farther along than this, but I tell a funny story about your mom. I always like sitting at a bar. And I go to dinner and let's go sit at the bar. And your mom never liked us. That bar is disgusting. I don't want to. She was up until maybe 10 years ago, maybe less than that, but around 10 years ago. And I talked her into sitting at the bar. And she did exactly what you described. And she's like, she gets into other people's business. Mm-hmm. Did you hear that lady's pregnant over there? Shh. No. And then they hear her and they're like, yeah, my daughter-in-law's pregnant, blah, blah. And they start talking. And I'm like, oh my God. And she's always been this social butterfly to what I am. But she starts taking up conversation with people, even across the bar. And she'll vaguely hear something. And yeah, we had that too. And I'm like, God, what you know? But that's the fun part, and it's the whole community part. But again, the expense.
I said,
and there's nothing wrong. I mean, I took her out to a really nice dinner. And it cost me $120 for the 2 of us, which was huge when I'm trying to save money for a vacation. But which was huge, but it was good to just sit down and have a really good meal for once instead of making your own,
or eating bar food.
Yes.
We'll wrap it up here, but I just really like, ever since I was able to go to a bar, I just really liked that, and that's why I like this. And I said this to you when I talked to you about starting yours, but specifically when I went to start mine, is that those are the conversations that I really enjoy having. I like talking to people where you don't kind of know where the conversation is going to go, where you're kind of just like kind of feeling each other out, kind of like passing stories back and forth. I like that a lot,
and not getting offended on somebody else's having a different opinion.
I say this. I bring this example up. Me and you have talked about this so many fucking times, but I've seen it a lot in bars too. And granted, there are other ones where it goes the opposite way, but I bring up the story about the comedians, about when all the comedians are together, nothing's off limits. Nobody gets offended. But the moment you step out that door, that's how I've always felt about bars. You got somebody to your left, somebody to your right. You can talk. Maybe somebody might get a little upset, but for the most part,
but they're free to give you their opinion too.
Yeah, but for the most part, everybody just gives their opinion. We're able to watch. Like I said, there are times where it goes the other way. There are times, but for the most part, that's how it is.
Yep.
That's kind of why I like this, and I liked that, and I like doing this podcast is because I like being able to talk in a forum where we're not going to get offended. We're not going to yell and scream at each other. You're able to have a different opinion than I am, and that's okay.
I got a great idea for you.
To take this to a bar?
To take this to a different level. You should have a poker game.
No shit. I gotta figure out
five people around a table and turn a camera on and say, okay, we got 2 hours. We're going to play poker, but we're going to talk about anything and everything is on the table.
I would love to, honestly.
And that would be with the understanding that we're not going to start, nobody's going to punch anybody. You have to understand that. We understand that there's difference of opinion, but that would be, everybody's doing this, everybody has a couple people, or 3 people. And
I think that's and there's one, I can't remember what it's called. I'm definitely gonna promote this podcast because it's hilarious. Legion of Skanks. It's 5 comedians, and that's what they do. They're really out there, really inappropriate, but that's what they do. They sit around a table and they play like stupid videos and like make jokes about them and like talk about weird shit and make quote racist comments but it's all jokes. It's all laugh. That's all it is. It's great. I'm serious. It's great. You should watch it.
So push all this stuff to the back. Get a poker table.
But I would love to do
some
that.
Cigars.
I would love to do that because those are the greatest times. Me and Cheryl got together. That was our first time being like with each other and like actually being friends outside of work. Is a poker game. My friend Nick used to have poker games every Friday, and it was the greatest because we would all drink. Most of us would get drunk. You would see the progression of people not being able to play poker anymore. It was a good time.
I'd throw that $10 in the pot. I'd go for it if I were you.
I used to goat people.
Really? You think so? Okay.
Which that night specifically, I lost a lot of money. But that was always the fun part for me is I would goat people like that when I saw that they were like starting to get to that point where they're making bad bets. I'd be like, I'd go all in on that. I know what you gotta have, so you gotta go all in. There's no way he's gonna beat you. Great. But that's what I'm saying. I would love to do that. That's a good idea.
So do it.
I need more friends.
Just do it for me.
I need more friends.
Yeah. We had a good idea. Carla and I had a good idea with game night, and we thought it was fun. People came over to her house and our house and had fun, but then nobody wanted to do it anymore, and I don't know.
Anywho, thanks for coming out, braving the cold.
Yeah, my phone's kind of cold.
I appreciate it.
Not a problem. Thanks for having me.
Happy birthday.
Thanks. Roger said, happy birthday, oldish man.
This is What's in the Box. Thank you for
What's up in the box?
watching, listening. Also, we're on the YouTubes.
And by the way, tell your friends, huh? We need to get the word out. His 6 people that are watching this. Let's bump that up to 10 or 12. Can we do that? Everybody tells a friend, and we'll double the subscription amount.
But it's a lot of fun. I always like talking to you, obviously.
Thanks.
And I appreciate you coming over here on your birthday.
Not a problem.
So, yeah, YouTubes. Look at the YouTubes. Subscribe. Smash that like button.
You tubby.
But it's also on the Spotify. The video is also on Spotify. So
cool.
I figured out how to do that, so that's cool.
Nice.
So thanks for coming. See you another time.
Yeah.
We out of here.
Peace out, homie.